Good evening, board members, Dr. Cruz, district staff. Well, I'm the only board member right now. The time is 6:37 p.m. on this, the 8th day of October, 2024, and I call this board workshop of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. The following board members are present: Frank Castillo, yours truly. Let the record show that this workshop has been duly called and that notice of the workshop has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. We'll commence with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll proceed to public comments.
Yes, sir. We have 6 public comments, I believe. The first public comment is by Leti Juarez, and she is speaking on expenditures and discretionary funds forms. And just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Welcome.
Welcome, Mr. Castillo. Good evening. For the record, my name is Leti Juarez. Several months ago, I submitted an open records request for which I was charged $15 for half an hour of labor. This charge was later deemed excessive by the Attorney General, who directed the district to reimburse me. I am concerned about the process that led to this charge. The district's use of automated accounting software should allow for quick and efficient retrieval of invoices. It should not have taken 30 minutes to locate 14 invoices. This raises questions about either a misunderstanding of open records charging policies or an attempt to discourage future requests. This improper 15 charge has in reality cost taxpayers at least $200 due to the district's legal counsel preparation of responses sent to the Attorney General. I urge the board to investigate how such a decision led to significant taxpayer expenses, and please ensure that it does not happen again. At the last board meeting, the district began enforcing a stricter policy for public comments. Individuals are now required to sign up at least 10 minutes before the meeting, and comments must be submitted personally, not through third parties. Additionally, if the public comment form is not completely completed, it will not be accepted. I have no problems abiding by this district. However, I question the consistency of these enforcement practices. Of 49 September discretionary requests, only 23 were filled out correctly, less than 50%. Yet all were submitted to the board for approval. For the current month, 1 out of the 5 requests are filled out correctly, only 20%. Why are there double standards in the enforcement of policies? If incomplete public comment forms are dismissed, why are incomplete discretionary requests still being accepted? I understand that my comments might be perceived differently, but I want to assure you that my primary goal is to ensure that all individuals are adhering to the district's policies. It's important that we maintain consistency and fairness across the board. I look forward to the district taking steps to improve its consistency enforcement in its policies and practice in the interest of greater transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Edna Almeda, and she's speaking on item VG, or 5G. You have 3 minutes.
Welcome, ma'am.
Hello. For the record, my name is Edna Almeda. According to the district's discretionary manual, the primary beneficiary of expenditures from these funds should be the students of the district. The approved uses include student study guides, planners, instructional materials, student field trip expenses, student performance incentives, and entry fees for student academic competitions, among other things. However, I noticed that in the September discretionary request approved by the board, certain board members, Mr. Castillo, Ms. Molina, Mr. Aguilar, and Mr. Montemayor, have allocated funds from their accounts to cover the cost of a newsletter. I find it disheartening that while the district is moving forward towards paperless communications, such as the progress reports for students, board members are collectively spending a total of $15,957.04 on these newsletters. It is also worth noting that 3 of these board members are currently running for either the UISD board or city council. This newsletter could easily be perceived as a campaign tool, funded by taxpayers rather than a legitimate student-centered expenditure. This raises concerns about whether the funds are being used in alignment with the district's guidelines. If the board members are genuinely concerned about efficiency and saving money or improving communication with the community, I would suggest more effective and transparent alternatives, such as setting up a dedicated webpage on the UISD platform to post updates, or better yet, hosting a public meeting with your constituents. 2 words Dr. Cruz and Michelle Molina have emphasized, which they should heed themselves: root cause. This type of wasteful spending on paper newsletters that will probably end up in the trash. Efficiency. How is spending money on paper newsletters, which could easily be placed on a website, either the districts or the schools, how could that be efficient? You mentioned there was a lot of issues which requires legal counsel. However, well, then maybe you should see what the root cause of that is. And maybe we should concentrate on other more serious issues dealing with our students and their needs, instead of creating issues such as restricting the public, especially us advocates, which are usually the only ones here, to an isolated area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I did want to point out in response for my name being mentioned once again, every year and every semester that I've been a board member, I have used a newsletter. I have promoted a newsletter. Not everybody watches social media. Not everybody reads the newspaper. This is just one avenue that I feel is necessary to keep the public informed. Yes,
The
sir.
next speaker is Victor M. Vasquez, and he is speaking on agenda item 5B, budget amendment, and he has 3 minutes.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
I was looking the amendment for the budget, and supposedly it's hard to read because it's not specific. It doesn't like break it down to us, to the taxpayer, to look. For the appearance, for me, it's like the instructional is going to get another $7 million. It went up for 229 million to 236 million, and I guess because I guess all the position that Mr. Cruz opened, I guess, went up to 6 million now. The legal service, I guess, they're going to get another $231,000, and the debit service adjustment, I think it went up for 10 million to 19 million, almost 8.5 increase. But with the public, we don't know why. You know, I looked into it, and this is just a number that I just got out myself, like, you know, reading to it. So the fund and balance impact is going to be it's going to decrease about $11 million. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next speaker is Dianel Martinez. She is speaking on item 4G, request from board meetings, use of Board of Trustees discretionary funds. She has 3 minutes.
Okay. Welcome, Ms.
Hi,
Martinez.
Mr. Castillo. First
Yes.
of all, I want to do thank you for staying, for really representing today. Very disappointing that the other board members left, so I do have to thank you for that, because
you.
everybody is busy, but you made an oath to serve and to stand and to advocate for us, and very disappointing that the rest left. With that said, I come to you to respectfully request that you dissolve or come together to dissolve the board members' discretionary funds. The primary beneficiary of expenditures from these funds, as outlined in district policy, should be the students of the district. However, it is concerning that many times these funds have been approved for expenses that do not directly benefit students. I have seen requests for items such as two-way radios, police uniforms, forms and board member newsletters, like Ms. Edna just mentioned. $5,000 just for you, Mr. Frank Castillo, and I have nothing against you. My concern is, why are schools or departments not receiving sufficient funding to cover these essential items, instead of having to rely on board members' discretionary funds? This situation suggests that core operational budgets are not being properly allocated, leading to unnecessary reliance on discretionary funds for non-student centered expenses. And it's funny you said right now that you all, have these newsletters, because not everybody watches social media, not everybody watches and reads the newspaper, but you all now have gone paperless in the school district. Not everybody has a smartphone. Not everybody has Wi-Fi. So why not, do the same? It seems like you all prefer to do things a certain way and nitpick what benefits here, what benefits there. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but our kids are the ones that are getting screwed over. I mean, my son has ADHD, and guess what? Being on a Chromebook all day, that's impeding to his learning. We've paperless. That's impeding to his learning. Somebody who has ADHD, what happens? They go on the Chromebook, they're wandering off, playing games. Now, I had brought up that attention to the teachers and to the administrators, and I'm sure they relayed the message, because now a lot of sites are blocked, which is good. But, I mean, come on, there has to be an even standard for everybody. Those $5,000, I'm sorry, but to me, they should have been spent in the budget of PR, media relations, something, not with discretionary funds. Because again, discretionary funds are for instructional use only for the students. Now, what happens? I myself have been guilty of it. I would see the news, oh my God, trash, whatever, because we get the parent square or whatever it is, especially in our district, right? But we really have to come down, Mr. Castillo, to really seeing what the importance is. And the importance is our kids. And it seems like right now our kids are not being the priority.
Thank you for your comments. I did want to point out that for one reason or another, District 7 is the largest when it comes to mailouts. It's very expensive, more than any of the other districts in our region, in our district. And that's one thing that I've always questioned myself. Why do I get to pay more than others? But this is no fault of the district. That's just the way our growth has been expanding. And so I just want to point that out. It is a high amount because it's a bigger area, in my opinion.
Last public comment is by Jose Ovando. He's speaking on, I believe, budget amendment and retention of attorney TGC 551071. He has 3 minutes.
Welcome, sir.
How are you doing, sir? For the record, my name is Jose Ovando, and I too have a question about the hiring of these attorneys. I think that the school district has forgotten it's a school district. I don't know where we went wrong, and I know that Mr. Aguilar was mentioning all these issues that come up and grievances, and I don't know, I have a novel idea, and I may be wrong, but what if the school district doesn't get in trouble? What if, you don't do wrong things and get sued upon? That's just my thinking. I don't see why we have to hire an outside attorney and pay millions of dollars to another firm. It's just impossible. But what I do understand is that, and I appreciate you being here, because everybody else left. If they don't want to be here, I don't know what they're running for. If they don't want to be here, but one of the things that I've heard is that the intent of the board right now is to rile up the people to get the superintendent fired again. And we already went through this show 2 times. Why do you want to do that again? And if that's the intent, you're doing a great job in having the public against you, because stifling and abrogating people's rights to free speech is the worst thing you can do as a public servant. And not only are you stifling, you're not even here to hear us out. Our basic right to be heard by our government, to be grieved to our government, it's not even there anymore. They're not even here. You're the only one here. And let me know if I go over the 3 minutes, because I don't want to get arrested, and that's a whole other issue. Why is the police, why is UISD acting like the Gestapo? What's wrong? It's a school district. You're not guarding state secrets. You have no national security. It's just simple. It's just a school district. Let's tone it down. Let's keep it down. Let's remind that this is just a school district. It's for the kids. And I hope that, the board comes to its senses. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, sir.
There's no further public comment.
Okay, we'll proceed with item number 4. The following items for our board information only. Letter A, bilingual program evaluation.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, members of the audience management team. My name is Mara Arambula Ruiz. I am the Director for Bilingual Education, and I'm here to share some happy news. And our happy news is highlighting our emergent bilingual students at United ISD and the phenomenal work that our teachers that are in the classrooms have done with our students. So we begin, first of all, with program evaluation. We are required on an annual basis by Chapter 89 to provide information to the audience and public at large how our students are doing, and this presentation is done on or before November the 1st. We begin first by highlighting the number of students that we have enrolled at United and the reclassification history 2024 compared to 2023. And if you noticed, last school year we had 16,104 students enrolled and identified as emergent bilingual students, which equals to 41.54% of the average when we compare. We had last year 242 students reclassified, which means that when they took their STAR test, the state required also for them to look at their TELPAS, but we were looking at the TELPAS at each of the domains. And we were only able to reclassify 1.41% of the students. This year, 24-25, we have an enrollment now of 16,615, which is about 40% of the students. And we were able to reclassify 1,859 students out of the bilingual program, which equals to 10.5. Now, what is the difference is that the state changed their guidelines, and this year what they're looking at is a TELPAS composite score instead of just the domains by itself, along with a STAR assessment. So those are kudos to the work of our teachers in the classroom, preparing the students and making them successful. And we move on to the 24 TELPAS results for state, region, and district comparisons. And we know that the target goals for this year are highlighted there. Interim for high school is at 34%. The long-term goal is 40%. Middle schools at 44%, and the long-term goal is 50%. Elementary schools, the interim goal is 49%, and the long-term goal is 55%. So when we look at our data for the academic performance, and we look at UISD, I circled the areas where UISD actually outshined the state and the region in the advanced and advanced high level for the domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and also highlighting the average composite score when we compare UISD, the region, and the state, and our district average when we look at the cluster for kinder through second is that they're averaging at the intermediate level at 2.1 in comparison to the other to the region at 1.9 and the state at 2.0. When we look at the comparison score, composite score for the cluster of 3rd through 5th to 12th grade, we are inching our way and moving our students along up into the higher ranges of the speaking domain and composites, and now we are at 2.7 in comparison to the region and the state at 2.6. So again, we are highlighting that our students are being successful. When we look at the different programs that we have at United ISD for bilingual, we have the early exit transition, the dual two-way, the ESL pullout. We see that our students also are being successful not only with TELPAS, but also with their STAR scores and moving along into the approaches, meets, and masters level. So again, kudos to the work of our teachers. We look at the graduation rate for the 4-year, and we look at the graduation rate for the 5-year, and what we want to look at is are our emergent bilingual students comparable to the other students with the rest of the population? And we notice that our students are in the 90s and up in comparison, so we are comparable to the other group of students that are highlighted. This past 23-24 academic school year, the bilingual department provided a total of 98 professional development sessions, which are highlighted and linked where it says PD sessions. And the sessions ranged everything from programs that we offer in addition to teacher preparation in order to have them be successful with working with students in the classroom, along with also providing sessions for them to get them certified bilingual in ESL. So we had 98 sessions, which equal to 1,763 teacher participants. We have our comprehensive plan that we had last year, which laid out all of the sessions that we offered fall and spring. In addition to the summer, we had a lot of sessions in June and July, and they were all packed. All the teachers were interested in coming to the sessions that were being offered. Every year, of course, we are required by the state to provide our parents how our students are doing in the bilingual program and how they're being successful. So on a yearly basis, on or about September, we send out a letter to the parents letting them know how they performed in TELPAS, how they performed with Lost Links, and how they performed with their iReady assessment. In addition to that, on a yearly basis, our teachers go over the Emergent Bilingual Plan for Success, which they look at the interventions that they're going to be provided for target students in order to make them successful. We also, in the department, look at the budget the bilingual budget that has been allocated to all campuses and make sure that the expenses that are being purchased at the campus level are to impact the emergent bilingual students' instruction. So all of that is tied to the campus improvement plan, which they submit on a yearly basis, and budget requisitions come through our department. And that is it. Thank you. And very happy to, again, showcase our bilingual students and also to notify the board and our members of the audience that our district was nominated by Summit K-12 as one of the top finalists for the Summit K-12 program usage for TELPAS, along with Roosevelt Elementary, and they will be recognized at the TABE conference taking place this October. So thank you all and have a great evening.
Is this a statewide or
Yes, sir. It's a statewide recognition. So our district is one of 650 that we're being compared, and we're one of the top 5 within the large district setting. So we are very happy, along with Roosevelt that competed against 4,000 schools.
I noticed that you also have all high schools have some kind of emergent bilingual program.
Yes, they
students.
do. We have the ESL pull-up program, and we have for our 1, 2, and 3 year recent arrivals, the ESL and concepts of English classrooms and reading classes that we offer.
Do you think we would have more, or is this by par, or I guess I don't know.
As far as recent immigrants?
Well, the number of students that we have in the program.
In average, in the program, 16,000, that's about, we've always been around that
Okay.
income. We're one of the largest districts when it comes to emergent bilingual students. Yeah.
There's some things that I always try to understand, like I was mentioning earlier
Yes.
about newsletters and all that. Like, why do I get some higher costs when I send a newsletter? Like, it doesn't make any sense. We should all have the same numbers. But in the schools and in the students, they're all over. They're all over our
That is
district.
correct.
And
They're
I
all
think
over
I
our
commend
district.
you for a wonderful job. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank
everything
you.
you're doing.
Very proud to represent
Yeah.
the bilingual department.
Thank you, Dr.
Also
Cruz.
I also want to include that the TELPAS performance results are part of our accountability measures, and the TELPAS performance results did allow UISD to garner that A. Just like STAR is a metric that the TA utilizes part of accountability, so does TELPAS, and I do want to commend our bilingual department under the leadership of Ms. Arambula and her staff for outstanding performance. Grow and maintain. As long as we maintain and we grow, we're going to see our student achievement continue to grow under this great program of our EB students.
Wonderful, thank you. Next item is letter B, the Laredo College Summer Academy overview.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Cruz, members of the audience. Mario Rosales, Director of Advanced Academics for the record. I'm here to share with you the results of the 7th year that we've had the College Summer Academy with Laredo College. So we've been at it during COVID, after COVID. So this is like the 2nd year after COVID. So we've had success in reference to the number of students that are getting college credit hours, and of course saving the taxpayer, the parents, money. So we have here summer session 1. We had 493 students, an increase of 50% from last summer. Over 1,457 hours were earned with a 97.2 passing rate. Summer session 2, we had 311 students with 933 hours of college credit, 99.4% passing rate. This summer, we also had face-to-face in the morning and online in the afternoon. So that contributed to some of the students being able to take some of the courses because, you know, how they go on vacation or they do other things. So overall, between summer session 1 and 2, we had 98% passing overall rate. So that was over 804 students with about 2,309 credit hours that were earned at a savings of $217,080 to the district and to the taxpayer for the students earning these credits. Now, as you can see, summer session 1, we offered all those courses that are listed there. And summer session 2, there were a lot less because, like I mentioned, some of them would like to go on vacation and so on.
What are the hours signify? Are those
The
semester
hours are credit hours, so every course that the student takes, it's 3 credit college hours, except for the science courses, which is 4. Now, here's just a distribution of the grades. You notice that we have a number of A's, B's, C's, and so on. This is what contributed to the percentage that I just shared with you in the previous slide. The second slide, this is summer session 2. This is also the breakdown. As you can see, there's quite a number of A's, B's, and C's. You'll notice that the D's are also considered passing at Laredo College, but I don't really consider them in the calculation of the passing rate. But overall, we are continuing with Laredo College, and they will be offering us tuition and fees waived. So we don't have to worry about tuition and fees for this year again. And also for textbooks, everything is open source, so we don't have to worry about textbooks for this coming year as well. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Rosales.
Appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. Agenda item, again, 4, letter C, pilot program for mental health wellness initiative for UISD employees. Mr.
Yes,
Garza.
Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, our staff and members of the audience were very excited to be able to finally bring this to the board for approval. It is a pilot program that we're trying to implement this school year. We tried to and weren't able to successfully get a grant previous to our submission here. We are now able to use some of the safety and security grant money that we received to allocate funding for this. But we believe that it's a great need that we have in our district that we've needed for quite some time. We're not going to be using general fund monies. We're using grant monies that we received, and we're going to see how it works out. We anticipate that it's going to be a very successful program. Later on in the workshop, we're going to be asking the board to approve the actual contract itself, but we wanted to segregate this out so that we can do a small presentation. We do have Mr. Manny Sanchez from Pillar, who is the firm that we're recommending, and they're going to just give a real quick verbal presentation of the services.
Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo,
Mr. Sanchez.
Dr. Cruz, UISD management, and all those in attendance today from the general public. We are honored to be here today to talk about the value of mental health services. Pillar already has the pleasure of serving the district's youth. We've been doing that for many years with great success. And now we want to be in a position to serve the employees. We know the value of mental health care. When somebody has issues in the emotional realm that go unaddressed, you're looking at risk factors coming into play. When somebody reaches a state of emotional wellness, then we can expect good things to come forth. So for example, when somebody has access to mental health care services, we expect that that person is going to have improved health outcomes. But how does that benefit the employer? Well, logically speaking, we can say that it'll decrease absenteeism, It'll improve work satisfaction. It'll prevent burnout so you can retain staff with experience. And it'll lead to more effective work outputs that we can connect to better academic success for the students. But one of the most important areas has to do with safety. We all know the dangers that exist in today's world with somebody coming onto the campus and wreaking havoc because they have unaddressed emotional needs. We should all be concerned that people with unaddressed issues that are employees can actually bring the same level of concern if they're struggling with mental health issues that are unaddressed. I want to commend the district for the foresight to bring these services to the staff because they should feel supported and nurtured by their employer, and we should see success with the outcomes. The district has already entrusted us, as I mentioned earlier, to serve the youth. They've also entrusted us to be part of their Fit for Duty program. What does that mean? It means that when a staff member has had some kind of outcry, they refer them to us at no cost to the employee, and we serve them so they can return back to work and be functional, but more importantly, they can improve their health status. Now we want to take a preventative approach and offer these services to all the employees so we don't have to wait for an outcry or for some violation to occur, but for people to take preventative measures to take care of themselves so they can be more effective in the workplace. So once again, I want to commend the district for the foresight of moving forward with this initiative. I now want to ask my colleague, Ms. Emma Castillo, who herself has served as an educator, to say a few words about this pilot project.
Hello, good evening. My name is Emma Castillo. I proudly work for Pillar for the past 6 years. It is our honor, and we are beyond excited to work with the United ISD District to give these services to staff members. We completely understand that the city of Laredo in general is underserved, and we don't want for that to be the case for United ISD, for the staff, for the teachers. We want students to thrive. How can we expect our students to thrive if our teachers may be lacking something in the mental and emotional realm, right? So we are extremely excited to be able to provide these types of services to your staff, to your teachers, so that we can keep United ISD up to par.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. When do you plan to begin the pilot project?
Yes, sir. So again, because of timing, we're trying to get this off the ground before school started. Unfortunately, we're here in October, so we are pushing aggressively for a November 1st start. Okay. What's really important is that every single full-time employee will be eligible for services regardless if they're insured or not, right? And so again, what we're trying to do here is address acute need. And then once we get them going with a few sessions, then we can either divert them to an insured program, or if they're uninsured or not insured, then Pillar actually offers some programs to continue services. So we want this to be a revolving service for all our employees.
I heard you mention full-time employees. Anybody else? Substitutes? Anybody?
Well, right
part-timers?
Now, again, it's a pilot program, but as we get going, we anticipate that the services will be there. Obviously, it's going to be limited by number of slots per week. Okay. And so we want to try it out. If it all works out, then we'd like to expand that to more availability. But again, we're just going to be limited to the number of slots that we're going to have available. So.
Well, it's a really good program.
Yes,
really,
sir.
Count me in as a supporter. I mean, I've been preaching counseling since I've been here on the board, and I've been preaching, mental health and our teachers taking care of everybody. At the end of the day, interestingly enough, today I visited the courts. I was present there at the Webb County, and I noticed that there are people who make errors in judgment, and they're given a second chance. Well, sometimes mental health is like that, too. Yes. You get a chance to correct some things that might be going on in their life, and, I'm very happy to be supporting the initiative, and whatever I can do to help. I think if we do it for our employees, I'm just saying let's do it for everybody.
We'll
You know,
look at
I'm
it.
inclusive.
Yes,
I want
sir.
everybody to be able to take advantage of this.
And an important note, sir, as far as I am aware, United, again, this is another first that United does. I'm not aware of any school in South Texas that has a program like this. There may be some in the North Texas or north of us, but certainly nobody in Region 1 or around this area has this program that is going to be as robust as what we're talking about. So,
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Mr.
you all
Sanchez,
for your
good to see
support.
you again, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. Dr.
If
Cruz.
I may, I do want to thank Pillar for becoming partners to ensure that we meet the needs of our employees. And before we go on to the next agenda item, Mr. Castillo, I do want to introduce a new member of the UISD team, our newly appointed director for the Teacher Incentive Allotment, Ms. Vania Magallanes.
I did run into her in the parking lot already, but thank you. Very nice meeting you. Welcome aboard. Is that it? All right, agenda item number 5. The following items are to be reviewed by members of the board with recommendations for action to be made at the next regular board meeting. Letter A, monthly disbursements.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, and members of the audience. My name is Rosa Cabello, Director of Accounting, and today we present to you action item, monthly disbursements for the month of September.
Wonderful.
I don't know, is there any questions?
No,
in
no
regards to
questions
this?
for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Letter B, budget amendments.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Castillo. I'm going to present 3 out of the 4 budget amendments to you this evening. The first budget amendment, I have to take you back all the way to June the 6th when the board approved a one-time salary increase for our full-time employees. We paid that this past Friday. It's a total of $11 million in the general fund and $707,000 for the child nutrition program. The checks went out to over to 6,308 employees. The teachers got $1,500 gross, and everybody else got $1,100 gross. And this is the impact that we're going to have as the public comments was made on. It is correct. It is going to be an impact to the ending fund balance at the end of the fiscal year.
The general fund balance?
Yes, sir.
The
Yes, sir.
general fund, yeah.
The second budget amendment that we're presenting, we have several financing sources that we have not exhausted the funds yet, and we've earned interest on these accounts. We cannot touch that interest until we get board approval. So you'll see that in Fund 174, which was the 2022 maintenance tax notes that was approved back in 2022. We're going to recognize $515,000 of interest, and we'll apply it to those projects that financing is covering. The same thing in Fund 175. It's the 2023 financing, and we're recognizing an additional $401,000 in interest income. Fund 177 is the 2024 financing, and we're recognizing that's a new financing, so we've only earned about $18,000, a little bit over $18,000 for those projects. And then the bond program continues to earn interest, so we're bringing that to the board. That's $463,000, a little over $463,000 for the bond program. This is revenue that's going to be put into these financing sources to allow us to complete the items that we brought to the board back at that time to finance those particular capital needs. The next budget amendment is actually I guess I would like to call this a positive budget amendment. It is not necessarily recognizing additional revenue. We've already recognized this revenue as we go through every year. The Webb County Land Funds produce revenue for the district, and we have a balance there of $8,500,000. And with that $8,500,000, you're allowed to do one of two things. You can either add to existing facilities, or you can pay down current debt. To counter the first budget amendment that I presented to you at $11 million, that's going to reduce the fund balance, we want to go ahead and bring in this reserved fund balance of $8.5 million to help counter the negative impact of the $11 million by adding an additional $8.5 million that is funded through revenues that by law we have to reserve in fund balance. So it's a plus to the budget, but we're going to allocate it to what we're allowed to spend it on, which is to pay the debt service payment in the general fund. So the impact of that $11 million.
Who tells us where to put the budget amendment? Is it state or
the state of Texas
standards?
requires for these funds, the state of Texas is only allowing you two options.
I see.
You can put it for construction needs to existing facilities, or you
So
can
it's
pay
nothing
down.
arbitrary on our part here
No,
that
so
we have to do.
the arbitrary part is just deciding on how we want to use it.
Okay.
And because there is a large impact for the $11 million, this counters it by $8.5 million.
And is this available on our website? I heard a comment earlier about that some of these things maybe not being available.
Like this budget amendment will
Yes.
be under the agenda item under the board's website.
But
So
not,
it's there.
but not in a budgetary screen or
I
something
mean,
like that?
we can add budget amendments to that section.
And
Yeah,
would they be listed like a budget amendment 2503 or
we can-
2504?
we can add it and we'll drop
Okay.
this in
Just
there.
want to make
Yeah.
sure.
This
That
is-
way it's available in case
Yeah.
the public wants to see
Yeah,
it.
to reassure you, yes, sir, it's on the Board of Trustee under the agendas. They can click on it. They'll see exactly this presentation there. But we definitely can add it to the fiscal operations website, and it'll just be posted two places, but it's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, members of the audience. For the record, my name is Felipe Jimenez, Fiscal Operations Administrator. I'm here to present the last budget amendment for the evening. It's to appropriate funds for the repairs of Centeno Elementary as outlined by Mrs. Benavides earlier during the special called meeting in the amount of $100,000. We feel that this should be enough to cover the expenses of the damages that were done that night. This
That
will
would
have
be
a
the brick and mortar-
decrease in the fund balance.
That would be the brick and mortar part of the campus,
Yes,
right?
sir.
The damage that car made.
Correct.
Did we consider, was there going to be a discussion whether that person had insurance or anything like that?
I believe so.
covered?
I believe legal counsel's
Yeah,
going to look into that to see if we can get reimbursed for some of those expenses.
Okay. Very good. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sam. All right. Continuing with letter C, end of year outstanding encumbrances.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, Rosa Cabello, Director of Accounting. And tonight we bring to you agenda action item approval of end-of-year outstanding encumbrances. These encumbrances are purchase orders that will roll forward to the 24-25 budget. These purchase orders are for goods and services that we might not have received or have been completed. And on the presentation, we do have the PO report is $4.8 million that is going to be rolled forward and which is 2.4 from this 4.8 are construction projects. As you can see right now, our history of our POs, they do fluctuate between years. The prior PO total was $6.1 million, which included 1.2 for construction projects and 4.8 in operating encumbrances. Compared to this current year, we have a decrease of 21.1 from prior year expenditures, encumbrances, 2.4 in construction and 2.4 in operating encumbrances. That was a decrease of 50% from the prior operating encumbrances. On the next page, we do have a summary of the POs that total by departments. We have the construction department, which is 2.4, and all other departments, including curriculum and instruction, which is all of our campuses, energy and management, police, renovations for the district, safety and security, technology, and all other departments that are not for instruction, total to 4.8. I don't know if you have any questions in regards to
Not
these
at this
encumbrances.
time. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you. Excuse me.
All right. Letter D, property tax refunds for the month of September 2024.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, members of the audience. We bring to you the month of September, the refund. We just have one overpayment of $5,566.18. This account is paid in full. There's no loss of revenue to the district.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Madrina.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
you, ma'am. Letter E, awarding bids, proposals, qualifications, and extensions.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, and staff. Cordy Jackson, for the record, Director of Purchasing. We have the following for your consideration. Can you put it on the summary?
Yes.
RFP 2024-029, district-wide HVAC filters to the vendors listed. RFP 2024-027, mental health wellness program for United ISD employees to people with ideas of love, acceptance, and respect, pillar. Estimated amount would be $90,000. RFP 2024-025, therapy services to the vendors listed. RFP 2024-022, HVAC equipment and supplies to the vendors listed. And then we have one renewal for your consideration.
Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Any
so
questions?
much. No questions.
Thank you.
Letter F, update teacher service record designees.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, and members of the audience. Dave Canales for the record. Just to let you know, we had an update with our policy, and on that update, it inadvertently did not include the titles of people that can approve the service records. So we are asking for the board to go ahead and allow those names to be put back up, the titles.
Okay.
Okay.
No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Canales. And finally, letter G, request from board members in reference to the use of Board of Trustees discretionary funds for various projects / campuses. Mr. Garza.
Yes, sir. Mr. Castillo, Dr. Cruz, members of the audience. We have no additional requests, but I did want to clarify, because of the public comments, that we have completely revamped our process for making sure that these documents are done correctly, properly. As you know, our staff does a very good job of contacting our board members to confirm, to verify. Our campuses realize what the new process is. There's no longer, we're going to be bringing some items at the last minute for approval. Everything will be orderly and processed. And to rest assured that before any expenditure of funds are done, all signatures are there and everything has been confirmed.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garza. That's a good idea, just to streamline the process and make sure that everything's done, crossing our T's, dotting our I's.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, at this time then I will go ahead and on my own adjourn and second it.
You're adjourned.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.